to the Della Fit Podcasts. 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health, all in one podcast.
Salutations and proclamations. It is I, it is you, it is us, it is we. Together we make up the digital family that is the De La Fit Podcast. I'm your host, Philly's #1 son, aka the Body Alchemist, Sun Moon Bay, bringing you another podcast excursion. Welcome and happy Friday to all. It is 5/14/2019, a beautiful sunshiny day, and boy do we have an exciting show for you. You know, we often talk about the 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health and the different parts of fitness and health within ourselves as human beings. One thing I commonly is a common theme in the conversations is that it's not just about how much weight you can put on a barbell. It's not just about how many pull-ups and push-ups you can do. It's about many aspects of us being human beings. Physical fitness is one aspect that we speak of, but we talk about spiritual fitness. We talk about financial fitness or monetary fitness. We talk about different aspects. Today we're going to be talking about relationship fitness and equality. More so the equality point. The whole reason for this is due to a conversation that I had with some friends of mine we were having a lunch date. It was a good group of friends of mine, some family, some homies of mine that hadn't talked to in a while. And we all decided to sit down, just have a good lunch. It's been a while since we had caught up. And you know, you listeners out there know how it is when you're having conversations, you're going through your life and you finally get a chance to catch up with your friends. And we started talking about, you know, the classic things, family, career, and other aspects of our lives. And with that came the conversation of dating for those that weren't already married or had children. We started talking about dating, and from dating we started talking about equality within relationships. And the conversation I thought was very, very interesting because it was an equal amount of women and men. And in this conversation, we started to discuss basically what is equal? What is equal? And what is it that men want? What is it that women want? We've heard this conversation so many times before. A good friend of mine, she was saying that, you know, when she dates, she would just like to really meet a man who took himself seriously, took his career, his life, you know, his ambition seriously, and also was a type of individual that wanted to support his mate, support his family, you know, and really took it serious. And she was saying that there are a lot of, I'm not going to use the word and term that she that she said, but it started with a F and a boy. I'll let you all put that together. But she basically was saying that, you know, there are a lot of guys out here that are grown little boys, and they would rather sponge off of a woman than actually take care of themselves and learn to live and be men. And in turn, the conversation, you know, switched from that to a good friend of mine, Jamal, who was saying, you know, he's single, and he was like, I go out on dates. He said, I totally agree with you. He said, it's just, for me, it's totally confusing. He said, it's totally confusing because I run into a lot of women who talk about equality. He said, but there's some things about that equality that don't add up. He said, I find a lot of women who expect me to approach first and expect me to pursue and expect me to do things that, quote unquote, the conventional man is supposed to do. He said, hunt and pursue. He said, let me tell you one thing. I've never felt like a hunter. He said, every woman I've ever dated has already, when we got together later, has already told me that they already knew what they wanted, and they put themselves in the position for me to approach them. He said, I don't consider that hunting. He said, I consider that being baited. And that's just a small part of the conversation that we got into, everybody. So, you know, me having this podcast, I said, you know what? This would be an interesting topic to talk about this week. And I was lucky enough to have a former guest come back, #1 bestseller and relationship coach and counselor, Rihanna Milne, has graciously joined us for another episode. She was with us, you might have remembered, a few months ago. Actually last year, and we had a great show with her, but she has graciously offered her time and will sit down with us, and we'll be asking her some questions and basically just, tapping into her knowledge base, and hopefully she can help us with this. So I hope you all enjoy the show so far. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So do me a favor. You know what to do when you're here with the De La Fit podcast. You know that you're home. So pull up your favorite chair, kick up your feet, grab a biscuit, sit back, relax, turn us up. You're home with the De La Fit podcast. Hey, De La Fit podcast listeners. Want to share your opinions, give feedback, or tell me what you're thinking? Send me a voice message. Voice messages are an easy way for you to send me audio that might end up in a future episode of the De La Fit podcast. They're the latest feature from Anchor, the platform I use to make this podcast. Here are some of the things I'd like to hear from you. Questions you may have for me, future topics, and or types of guests you would like us to reach out to. You can send me a voice message right now from wherever you're listening. Just tap the link in my show notes. I can't wait to hear from you.
De La Fit podcast is now available on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play Music.
You're now tuned in to the De La Fit podcast.
Welcome back to the De La Fit podcast. One thing that is consistent in life is our interaction with one another as human beings. And what springs forth from those interactions comes a variety of different types of relationships, many of which differ in complexities. But none so differ, at least in my current point of view, than the relationships between men and women. The battle of the sexes, or rather the endless filibuster of differences that continue to promote inequality instead of equality, have been going on for far longer than I, your humble podcast host, you as our benevolent listener, or as far as our wonderful guests can count. But we're going to weigh in on it and offer our humble opinions. With that being said, family, it's my pleasure to have back on the De La Fit podcast, #1 best-selling author of the book, Love Beyond Your Dreams, Break Free of Toxic Relationships to Have the Love You Deserve, as well as certified global life, dating, and relationship coach, host of her podcast, Alexis Daily, a brief and global radio show on boldbravemedia.com, the amazing Miss Rihanna Milne. How are you today?
Hi, what a nice introduction. How you doing, Sun Moon?
I am struggling to talk with this sinus infection.
But you're hanging in there. You're doing a great job.
I'm hanging in there. I'm doing my best. Rihanna,
awesome.
We've got some questions. And this came about from, of all things, a luncheon with some friends. And you know how those things can take place. You're all sitting there. You're talking about life. You're talking about jobs. The great debate comes about, you were just saying things, what's going on in your life? Oh, baby, marriage. Oh, what's going on there? Oh, dating. And then that dreaded topic, dating. Mm-hmm. And then it led to the door opening of equality. So we're going to try to get some answers here. Hopefully you can answer some of our questions and some of the things that are coming about.
That's what I'm here for. Absolutely.
So let's start. All right. Equality within relationships. What does equality truly mean? And why are we as men and women having such a difficult time with coming together equally?
Yeah, it's a great question, because in today's world, unfortunately, I think women have had to step up to become equal to a man when it comes to supporting the household. And many women do more than men these days to support their kids, as was in my case. The stereotypes that I grew up with, I'm part of the baby boomers, which is the old shows of Ozzie and Harriet, Leave It to Beaver, where the woman was totally taken care of. The couple's children had this nice, safe home environment, very stable, that's unfortunately been long gone. How can men insist that women take care of the house, the kids, the cooking, the laundry, and also work an 8 to 10 hour day? So, I see a great example in my daughter, Alexi Panos Davis, and her husband, Preston, who are 35 and 36, and they're in a totally equal relationship. He does the exact same housework and chores as she does, as well as he's very conscious to spend equal time raising their son, Kingston, as they put in the same long hours at work. They're both global coaches. His father was not present when growing up, and he definitely wanted to change that up in his son's life. And in Alexi's case, they were both supported and raised by their moms, me included. So he's consciously changing this for his son, as are many millennial fathers today, which I think is a beautiful thing to see. So many women have been forced in this old role when they work too, leading to total burnout. And then the men are angry that their women are too tired for sex. So, if the men can step up, women have more energy. Women often feel that they have one less child to take care of when they eventually divorce their husbands if the men don't help out.
Right.
So then this is the equal territory to share here. Share equally in all the household chores and child rearing, because no one likes the chores. You're doing them as a team, right? Takes a whole lot less time and aggravation. So it's really important that you're cognizant to, if you don't know, ask your lady, what are the chores? What do we have to do together? I usually suggest to my clients, get up Saturday morning, rip through the house. You take the kitchen, I take the bathroom. Next week we'll switch. Do the whole house cleaning in one Saturday morning and then go out and play and have a good time. That's what I'd say. Work it as a plan. And then financially, also, a couple must work as a team and have a plan as well. Very important. I feel that they each should have their own savings accounts and a joint checking account, and then have a solid plan. Decide, write it down, what's to be paid by you, based on who earns what. If one of the partners is a saver, for example, and the other's a spender, this couple is going to have money issues unless there's a firm plan in place. So what gets spent on what, by whom, and what is saved each week should be a plan. And I just want to really state to your listeners, right now there's a real national issue and concern going on for baby boomers. I just read this report and put it on my daily lessons of life and love, that 1 in 3 Americans have only $5,000 saved for retirement. $5,000.
That's
and
not
those
a lot.
that have saved, that's horrible, right?
Yeah.
And those that have saved something only have an average of $84,000. And they're saying most baby boomers spend about $46,000 a year to live. So that's 2 years of savings. And only 55% of baby boomers have some retirement savings. And 42% of those that do have less than $100,000. So what does that leave? 8% have over $100,000 to live off of, other than Social Security. So experts suggest $1 million be saved for retirement. And so I just want to pose out to the younger generation, you've got to think of this and start early, because, they're telling us Social Security is going to be gone in 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
So what's there for the young people if you don't start now, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I want to suggest to the listeners, before you consider marriage or living together, you need to have a real open and honest discussion. And I say the second or third date, where are you financially? Because when I get all hepped up with someone that might have $50,000 to $100,000 in student loan debt, you want to take on that debt? Once you're married, it's yours.
Right.
And I say, before you go out and date, be a successful single, have no debt, a great credit score, at least 740 and higher, money in the bank, because when there's two of you that have your financial life together, you're more likely to make it, because all the studies show couples primarily split up due to money issues, and you want to make sure this is done upfront before you're emotionally involved.
Right.
So this I call emotional and financial intelligence, and it has nothing to do with chemistry, does it? But
No.
here's the deal. Here's the deal, Simone. People who marry only due to chemistry are really fools, because the physiology of hot chemistry doesn't last. So you better be best friends first, solid plan for yourself and for your future second, because it is more like a business decision than anybody would realize. So now let's go back to caveman days, because this is really also about the battle of the sexes here. Men's old brain is wired for attraction, because way in the beginning they were created to procreate the race, right?
Okay.
Cave women, her number one desire, man's is attraction, her number one desire is security. Okay, she's hardwired this way. So she and her children are safe and taken care of. So I don't care how successful a woman is, if the man isn't equal or better, she's going to lose respect. Lose respect and lose passion. So men are getting the sex that they want in general, and women are left raising the kids, right?
Okay.
Kind of like, let's have sex, great, now you got a baby, so now what are the men doing? Just take care of those women and the men.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that the crises with the single moms, right, that have children to take care of. So they are getting no security from the men, or minimal. So this is the problem. Many men are not stepping up to be the total man that they need to be. They just want the sex. Our society has become so sex-focused through the internet, and it's gone from what was made as an expression of love for your partner, instead of being a controlling, disrespectful way to treat women. Now, my men on the podcast might be mad at me, but I want to go into this because I just read this report this morning, Sunmoon, and it is disturbing, and it's got to get out there. And I really think my book number 8 on trauma and childhood trauma is going to create a charity around this to help with this issue. So I just got a horrifying report this morning on sex trafficking today, which I'm going to do as a special report on my podcast, Lessons in Life and Love, because it says the average age is 13.
Right.
So that's 50% under 13 and 50% over, which are maybe 13 to 15, with 100,000 kids being bought and sold for sex in the U.S. every year. So there are many younger children being kidnapped and tortured for men's sexual appetite. This report said that they're sold to an average of $50 of 50 men a day. One young child is sold 50 times a day to men for $25 a piece.
Wow.
With their pimps keeping all the money and torturing them for control. So this is like, I'm a mom and a grandmom. So of course this is horrifying to me. And it's not only happening to women in America, but our innocent children, our girls and boys equally. And it's really a crime that one should be punishable by death, in my opinion. So the reporter it goes much deeper than this. But it says, the reporter said that sex and porn has really invaded our lives, and it's just appalling and disgusting that this behavior is the truth that many men are engaging in America. So it's become like rampant. And, and I hate to say it, Jerry Springer is all about who's sleeping with who, with baby mom and all this bullshit, right?
No, you're right.
What happened to values and character? And if the men are saying, this is what I want from you, I'm not going to be your boyfriend, many women are now focusing that if they give their men hot sex, he's going to love her forever. But studies show high sex-driven men are not the ones who stick around. So ladies, you can really help stop this trend by refusing to have cute sex. Don't lay down with every guy. Wait to show that he loves you. Dress and act like a lady to get a better guy. Have some class and don't stick around. Wait until you love someone you choose. Someone who's good and good to you. Someone that treats you great, right? So that's, when you look back to our traditional values, they're history. That's the problem with the sexes right now. So I think, there's men that really focus on being kind, intelligent, who have respect for women and have some overall values. Yes, he's still going to be a sexual man, but he's going to have pride in wanting to take care of his lady and his family. And this is what a good man does. And if he doesn't, even today can take care of themselves on their own. So, unfortunately, a lot of women, and this happened to me, were forced to become the men, quote unquote, for our families. We did everything. I even paid child support. I was 1 and 2 women in Erie, PA, years ago, paying child support to a man that ripped off my family $180,000. So, there was no justice. So, my daughter and her husband, using them as an example, saw their mom suffer, and men that just did not step up.
Right.
And a lot of millennial men have seen this, their mom suffering, working like crazy with a dad who's just checked out. So, Luna, I want to turn this around to you, being a younger man.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the problem is with men in our society today?
Well, I'm glad you actually asked that question, because I was listening to what you were saying. All right. I classically, how I was raised, coming from a different culture. My family's Afro-Caribbean. So a lot of the things I saw, first thing I have to say, I was raised in a 2-parent home. I watched my mother and father cook together, clean together. My parents taught all of us, I should say, that, you got to learn how to cook, clean, do for yourself. Nobody's going to do for you all the time.
Perfect.
And
that's such a rarity too.
Yes, yes, and I'm so blessed for that. But what I've seen as a young man, and this is part of the conversation with my friends, where it got very, very much, I don't want to say heated, because it was never heated. It was energetic.
Yes, I got you.
It's that, understanding a lot of the things that women have suffered, a lot of the atrocities, a lot of the unfair treatment, because that's one thing that my mother and a lot of my aunts and other women relatives made sure I understood, as well as my father, as well as my uncles. The thing that I see also that has taken place now is it is almost a strange inner reaction, because there are many men who want to be stand up, support, and take care of their families, but at the same time, we're looked at as though we are a strange bird, for example.
Really?
A very strange bird. And it's funny because I have a lot of friends of mine who are single fathers, and one thing they have dealt with is the fact of they have gotten in a situation where one particular friend, at one point, he was living the American dream. He had the 2.2, I think, children, the 2 cars, the house with the picket fence. I literally told him, I said, you are literally the American dream. You have just not served in the military. He was working a great job, and what took place was that he potentially had a nervous breakdown. And it's because he asked his wife at the time, he was like, listen, I need some help. Help, and she didn't want to go back to work, and he just broke down. And as much as he loved her, he's like, we need to separate. That financial burden on him broke him. And, I see the things that he has dealt with, been in court back and forth for almost a decade. I mean, it's just a lot of things. And also dating for a lot of my friends was just that, it's this respect or expectation of, I'm supposed to have everything together and come to you with these things. But, a lot of the times, some of these women don't have their shit together as well. And
so let's say that there's always going to be that, right?
Okay.
So if someone is emotionally healthy, evolved, meaning being their highest and best self, and a really great person, you've got to have the dating skills to attract someone who's your equal. And I always teach my clients it's a team effort, right? You come together, you're best friends first. What's best for the team? If indeed they initially might have agreed, yes, mom stays at home to raise the children, but he says, look, hon, I need help right away. Okay, let's brainstorm what I can do. We can put the children in school. We could have my mom babysit. If there's no mom, we could have part-time help. I can go to work part-time. Then you start, great. You do neighborhood shares where one mom watches 2 days, the other one watches 2 days. You figure it out. But, today it has to be teamwork. And my daughter has a mixed marriage. Preston is African American, and his mom is part Creole and part Caucasian, and I am Caucasian, and Alexis half Greek. Mm-hmm. So we're like the big United Nations, my family.
Right.
Big family love. So, it's really, I think, what people were demonstrated. Thank God you had that. Mm-hmm. Both Preston and Lexi were taught from their strong moms, like, you got to be equal, you got to help out. Luckily, being male, Preston's mom was like, you got to have your head together. This is not easy being a single parent. You got to. She taught him finances, and he was prepared for marriage. And he asked me permission because I was mother-father to Lexi, and he said, Rihanna, I want you to know, I'm totally prepared to take care of your daughter. However, I respect her intelligence, and her work is amazing. She's an amazing coach. So, and they do it together. So, it's the millennial men, I think, have learned so much. And of course, I work with a lot of women too that, I've got a 28-year-old who's an architect.
Okay.
And she's out there and she goes, there's so much to offer in my own home. I work hard. I'm smart. I've gone to school. And she goes, there's so many men all they care about is, well, let's have sex. First or second date. She goes, this is not what I'm into. Like, hello, like, where's the team effort,
Right.
Can't we, nurture this and enjoy the process of dating? So, I think, as in most societies, there's the people that get it and have their life together. And then there's people that just don't, or they're looking to live off someone or manipulate, unfortunately. And I mean, both men and women can be sociopaths. The latest studies on that is in 2011, when I was doing my research for my love book, Love Beyond Your Dreams, they said 1 in 11 were sociopathic. Now they're saying 4 out of 5 are sociopathic. And sociopaths use people for pleasure or profit.
Right.
So, I certainly work with men that have been hurt by that. I mean, really financially devastated. And I work with women who have been financially devastated by the men. Very similar to that would happen to me. I'm a sociopathic husband, So, and then I had to clean up the pieces, get out and work 5 jobs and make sure my kids were okay, So it's really sad that that's out there. So we as individuals have to be really careful in the partner that we're choosing and make sure we're not choosing only on chemistry, because it's the worst way to choose someone. You have to be really smart into dating skills, what to look for, looking for old-fashioned values, someone that has their life together in all aspects, career, financial, no debt, no crime statistics,
right.
No addictions. I mean, you want a healthy partner,
right,
so that your children stand the best chance of living and thriving in life, right? Very important.
It's interesting that you say that, because I was talking to a former guest. His name is Dane Darmio, martial arts instructor, but he teaches something he likes to call more so like mindfulness.
Yes, mindfulness.
He really likes to do that, and it's interesting because just the way our show works here, dealing with fitness, we don't just perceive it as just barbells and protein shakes. It's that 360, and the fact that you're approaching this, like you said, from I would like to say, a business sense. It's like, what's good for business, what's good for you. It's interesting. And it takes me back to something I do remember my father used to tell me. He was like, guard your heart and don't make emotional decisions.
That's right.
Always do that.
Yeah. You have to look at it as a teamwork, and as a team, can you survive and have the best life? It is, the studies show the reason most couples break up is due to financial problems.
Right.
So if you both have your life together financially as single people, and then you come together as a team, and you're both responsible in those areas, then it's bound to work. I mean, my story with my first husband, the father of my 2 children, had us with his business decisions in a bankruptcy. I was 26 years old with 2 little girls and $750,000 in debt. It was appalling. It was horrible.
Right.
So I opened a modeling talent agency with the first month's rent, and within 6 months it won the International Award for Modeling Talent School of the Year. But it's my work ethic. It's the ability to think outside of the box and getting back on my feet. Right. So, if you have one person that's irresponsible, it can ruin everything, right? And then you're left picking up the pieces. So that's why, I taught my daughters you have to be financially smart and sound on your own, and then make sure you pick somebody else who is,
Exactly.
Because they saw what happened to me. So it is really important, Yeah.
So it sounds like you actually went into what our second question is, which is creating realistic expectations within the relationship, and that expectation being the fact of, how are you working as a team? What set of principles or goals do you think individuals can set or to start creating realistic expectations? I mean, a lot of us, we get caught up in the Disney Cinderella or these love movies and things out here, but like you said, that's chemistry. So what do we do to start doing that, starting these principles?
Unfortunately, too many people think being in love is like the fairy tale. That's what we were taught,
Right.
And people just focus on the chemistry. Like, again, men are hardwired for attraction, so they want what they perceive as the hot girl. And then the women are thinking this is what men want, so they're becoming that, so they have a partner. So it's all twisted. And, especially due to childhood trauma, and the chemistry takes you back to what you know or what was normal for you. So as a global life and love coach, I teach my men and lady clients to look for totally different things, like good mood management, responsibility, financial security, intelligence, great work ethic, that they have similar interests, so they have fun together. You can trust them, you respect them, there's honesty. All the core character values is what should be number one. Yes, there has to be some attraction, of course, because you're going to want to make love to this partner.
Right.
But going on chemistry alone is a huge problem. And this is why divorce numbers are so high in America, close to 50%. Because people are going on chemistry, and eventually that all settles down in the brain. There's phenylalanine, serotonin, dopamine racing around in your brain when you find somebody attractive. So you got to start asking the questions to discover if the other items are there. And if they're not there, you have to be strong enough and secure. It's like, hell no, I'm not getting involved with this, and walking away.
Right.
And what happens when you have sex so early, the oxytocin is what they call a bonding chemical. It makes you bond to this partner and makes it harder for you to see or react properly to the red flags that are coming up. The studies show the first 90 days, everybody's usually on their best behavior. That's when the chemistry is the highest. And then if you have sex also, then, you tend to end up with this as a boyfriend-girlfriend. And you have not done the serious questions. Or if they come up, it's like, well, that'll change, or that'll get better. And you start snowing it over. And then, if it leads to marriage or a child, now you've got issues because you have not really taken the time to be intelligent and make an intelligent choice when, like your dad said, something purely emotional.
Right. So you have something that you've talked about and brought up, and I want to ask you this. What is love trauma? Define that for me.
Okay, sure. Love trauma occurs when one is either physically, emotionally, financially, verbally, sexually, or in any other way or combination controlled and abused by their partner once or over time. The effect in the body shows all the signs of PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. And what happens within the body, high cortisol levels go up, which is our fight or flight or freeze response. So when you're anxious, any of those three could happen. There's usually ongoing high anxiety, bouts of depression, quick trigger anger, headaches, stomach aches, lack of sound sleep. You can have nightmares. There's many other signs that this could be a part of. Now, initially PTSD, and it's still in the DSM manual for the mental health professionals, and I am a psychotherapist 19 years. And I've been shocked that this has not been a part of the DSM-4, because it's initially the reason stated is for those who have been in war.
Right.
And if you were part of, if your life was at risk, so you're part of a murder or being held up by gunpoint, something like that. But they have nothing in there about emotional devastation that leads to the exact same physiological response in the body. So they still have not placed love trauma as a form of PTSD, but many, if not most, all my political clients come to me because of what they endured by a partner or in a marriage or with somebody that they love. It really is truly traumatizing when someone you love so deeply lies to you, cheats on you, manipulates you, or abuses you in any of those stated ways. The people who stay in these types of relationships, they definitely tended to suffer from childhood trauma. And 90% of adults have 1 to 3 of the minimal traits out of 10, like we talked about in my previous show with you, right? So they're listed. So if you listeners haven't heard about the childhood traumas, you've got to go back and hear that show. But, 90% of adults have at least 1 to 3 of these traumas and the traits. And so the fact that they showed signs of this is what, they grew up with. And the psyche sees someone with trauma as normal or being in a cheap trauma relationship. It's normal because they might have grown up with it. So what happens is the chemistry is about they see it as normal and it's comfortable, or they want to correct the past. That's where chemistry comes from.
Right.
People with trauma do attract people with trauma. So the key is to become emotionally healthy first yourself, by eliminating all dysfunctional emotional triggers and trauma you might have grown up with. Again, it's not your fault. It's just what happened. It's just what was. And it could have been love trauma, like your first boyfriend or girlfriend. It could have been horribly controlling or abusive, and you loved him, so you tried to stay with him, whatever. So it could be love or childhood trauma. And then move on to learn the exact skills you need to attract and date an emotionally healthy, evolved, and conscious partner. And then this is exactly right, Coach, as a trauma specialist and a certified life and love coach. But that's what love trauma is.
Wow.
And it's real. Yeah, it's real.
It's very real. I mean, I think that's one of the good things that's taking place as we continue to change and really reevaluate things dealing with the brain in general, is that these are real things. They really affect us. They're not myths. They affect us physically, and, they should be taken seriously.
Yeah.
So,
and when couples are healthy, when we talk about continuously growing and communicating better with their partners, you would ask me a question as we get older, how can we continue to grow again? Right. Keep mentally and growing and communication exciting. Well, I teach balanced triangles, and so for couples, it's picture an equilateral triangle, 3 equal sides of me, you, and us.
Okay.
So you must keep up your individuality and personal growth to be exciting for your partner. A lot of people say, well, he doesn't make me happy. But guess what? It's your job to make you happy.
Right.
You have to make your own life exciting. So, watch the news, take classes, watch documentaries, go to art events, travel and see historical sites. What makes you interesting as a person? Just don't count on your partner creating all the conversation or the entertainment. I hear a lot of women saying, my guy just watches sports. Now, a lot of ladies aren't totally into sports, football, basketball, hockey, season after season. The guy's sitting on the couch and she's there, what about me? And you kind of realize, like, if he wants to keep his lady, he's going to have to keep her entertained in some way. And I don't mean like as a show, but I mean go out and connect, bond, go have fun, go dancing, listen to music.
Continue to learn and grow.
That's it. Learn and grow. I love when Tony Robbins says, if you're not growing, you're dying.
That's true.
And I think of a plant. If it's not growing, it eventually dies. So I love that quote. It's so true, because if you're dying and you're stagnant, you're not bringing anything new and exciting to yourself, your relationship will die of boredom.
That's very true.
And this is what often causes affairs, because somebody wants something a little bit more exciting. So, I had one couple in my office, and the guy's there, well, we dated, now we're married. Can I just relax and this part is done? I said, you want to keep having sex? Hello? I mean, if you do nothing to entice your partner to want you, then, see, the problem is this, too. Here's a big issue. And I can't remember if I said this on your other show or not. But guy kind of messed up in one way.
Okay.
He made the sexual center of the brain on a man 7 times that of a woman. Okay? And a man can have sex almost like instantaneously. A woman cannot. She has to be turned on by her 5 senses. So I always say to the guys, twice a week, get your woman out of the house, away from the kids, the to-do list. So she's in her head, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to clean. I got to clean up. And it's all the chores all the time. Get her out, so look nice, smell nice, compliment her, give her something nice that she wants to hear. Spend the time to connect with your partner. The other couples that get in trouble that put the kids first all the time. That's a huge mistake, because by 16 to 18, they'd have no intimate connection. The kids were raised first. Now, one of them wants to leave the marriage. Okay, the kids are raised, I'm out of here. So, if you put your intimate relationships first and the kids second, then the marriage will stay intact and the kids will be happy. So you got to tell your kids, look, Saturday night's mom and dad's date night. Now, if you happen to have prom on Saturday night, then we can make our night Friday night.
Right.
Those kids are going to have to learn to work around your schedule. If you raise them that way, they will see that this is normal. Mom and dad go out 1 night a week or 2 nights a week. But you have to, continue to romance your partner to make them feel important in your life. If you check out emotionally and don't do anything to appeal to her 5 senses, like the guy that watches the basketball game and the news and turns it off and say, hey, let's have sex, and she's falling asleep, it's like, nah, she's not turned on.
You know what? I have to say, and maybe it's just because I'm the anomaly, but I know I'm not,
Thank God.
Is
it more like you from news?
But I know there are because I'm lucky enough to befriend them. So I totally understand, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. That the only part I do have to say is that I know there are many men out there who are, sports is not all we're into, and things like that. And I unfortunately have had individuals who have had, I won't say unfortunately because that's just a lie, but there have been women who have had much higher, perhaps, sex drive than me. But I found that it's just like, it was just the similar thing you said about with the men and the women. It's like, you have to do something to intellectually stimulate me. I feel like that's a myth that's perpetuated. Like, men don't get intellectually, or we're only supposed to be like, want you now. And I know that's not totally true. There are individuals like that.
Clients that come to me, they say online, like 9 out of 10 profiles, men are listing all the sports that they're into. And the women are like, I'm just not interested. So, and I think both men and women have to be more well-rounded, right? Art, history, travel, learning, and like I said, the men that are in my life, my son-in-laws, their friends, are all the same. They're great guys, right?
Right.
And they may be into sports, but they're also into intellectual pursuits, or they're successful in their careers, and they need to take their wives out. So I'm not generalizing. Please understand.
No.
Just the complaints that I hear from my clients coming in, like, my guy just sits on the couch and he wants to know why I'm not sexually attracted, right? So it's like game after game, and then he wants sex, and he's done nothing but he's not even talk to me all day.
Right.
So, it's like, start appealing to what made you fall in love with that person, and don't lose it.
Right.
And I say to the ladies, too, I hear from my men, well, my lady's dressed so nice. She's put on 25 pounds. She's only in sweatsuits. Her hair's up in a ponytail. Like, what happened to the pretty lady that I was dating? So it goes both ways. Like, be who you were attracted to. What made your partner fall in love with you will keep that person, but only get better. Don't get worse. Don't get lazy. Don't stop relating and dating your partner.
I have a question to ask you, and maybe this is for a lead into another show, but are people honest about who they are when they're getting into a relationship?
Well, that's what we call the 90-day rule. Everybody is putting their best foot out there, right?
Right.
They're trying to be the best that they could be. So, again, research shows the best and most long-lasting marriages are between people who were friends first for a long time.
Right.
They really, really like each other. They're buddies. They're friends. They have fun together. They laugh together. They are their true, authentic self.
Gotcha.
So if you can wait through the high chemistry area to really see, do I really like this person? Do we have fun together? Are they cool? Can I trust them? Then you'll have much better relationships. So, trying to be friends first. And more, when I go on the profiles to monitor them when I'm advising my people, I say I'm seeing more and more men that say, I'd like to be friends first.
Right.
I'm like, touche, there you go. And that signals to a woman, okay, it's not going to be the heavy sex press. It's because, oh my God, I had this woman say, every time I'm out there by the third date, the guys are expecting sex. It's like, well, it's the third date. And my women say, and so? Well, why aren't we having sex? It's like, because I barely know you.
Right.
Why would I have sex with you? And then they say, well, if we really like you, we wait till the fifth date. And if you don't by the fifth date, you disappear. And I'm like, this sucks, It
does.
Is that really what you're seeing out there? So I hear these reports from men and women that come into me as my clients, right?
Right.
So when I advise my guy that they might have ended up with a toxic female or a sociopathic woman, I say to them, just take your time and see, can you trust her? Is she cool? Is she intelligent? Does she have a life together? Same thing as I would say to a woman. So it's really take your time and make sure you know what you're getting into.
Rihanna, it is always a pleasure to have you here. Where can the people contact you? Because I can hear them right now. I know they're probably dialing at this moment like, listen, I need to talk with her. Where can they get a hold of you?
Yes, the best way is to find me through my website, which is RihannaMills.com. And there's a pop-up form, and for just $47, it's an assessment fee. You can meet with me for up to 1 hour. It's a $500 value. And we'll go very deep into you'll get the report, the free ebook. You should get that with the 10 childhood traumas, so you can see if you have some of them. Most likely you will, because 90% of humans do. So that's HaveTheLoveYouDeserve.com. And my website is my name, RihannaMills.com. There's free love tests on there. There's free chapter downloads of my 2 books, Living Love Beyond Your Dreams, and also that opportunity to meet with me for a full hour after you do the childhood trauma checklist. Let's get you in and talk to me virtually. By Skype, so you can be anywhere in the world and I can meet with you, and we will get to the bottom of what's keeping you stuck in life or in love, or if you feel, and it's usually cyclical, like one toxic a boyfriend or girlfriend after another, and they can't figure out what's happening. That is a sign of childhood trauma. So get that checklist, HaveTheLoveYouDeserve.com, and then contact me through RihannaMills.com. Yes.
Rihanna, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. I enjoyed this immensely. Just a quick word to you. The first time we ever met, I was so nervous.
Really?
So nervous because I read your bio and I was like, she's a best-selling author. She's done this. She's done that. What if I mess up? And I was so nervous. So thank you. You actually helped me to develop more of myself as far as answering questions, researching, and being prepared, and just learning, trust yourself, relax, and go for it.
You do a great job. I'm very down to earth. Like, I have a heart of gold. I'm just on a mission to try and help the way the world loves, try and change some of the toxic things that's going out there and protect the hearts of our men and women that really want emotionally healthy love, and as a mom, I was very protective of my girls, making sure they didn't get hurt as I did
Right.
in the relationship. And I love my son-in-laws like they're my own sons, right?
Right.
And this is what I want for everyone out there, no matter what your age is. So if you've been struggling in love, any of the listeners, there is help. I just want to encourage them not to wait, because, once you learn these skills around trauma and choosing emotionally healthy people, it will stay with you forever. It's going to be so easy for you to date and find the one, because you equally today have to know what to avoid as well as what to attract.
Very true.
Very important.
Very true.
So you're really doing a great service. You're a great guy, and I want to commend you for being one of those great guys out there, helping to inspire men and women to be the best that they can be.
Well, you know what? I have to thank it's individuals that like you who help, men like me, because, I want to be better. And one thing I was told is, if you want to do better, you work on yourself. It allows you to help other people. So
that's right.
That's what this is about. Thank you so much for joining us.
I
know you're very busy.
Anytime.
Hey, you with the earbuds in their ear. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? When I was trying to get my podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcasts. I like to upload my episodes directly to the app and then promote. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it. Go to anchor.fm/start to join me in the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
It's time for another podcast excursion. Join us. We are the Della Fit Podcast.
We'd just like to take the time out to thank #1 best-selling author and certified global life, dating, and relationship coach Rihanna Milne for coming back to the podcast to have dialogue about this topic. We are so grateful to her for her experience and for her allowing us the time to sit down and have this conversation. There were some parts that I did not agree about. Majority of the conversation I totally did agree. And the little parts I'll explain that I didn't agree about. And it's nothing, I think it's understood during the conversation. I kind of spoke a little bit about that. But for the most part, I totally agree with Rihanna about equality and how we are to do and come about making sure that there is equality within the relationships between men and women. And that is the fact of, one, continuing to grow. Continuing to grow. I think that's one of the biggest faults that humanity has, is that after a certain point, I don't know if it's taught media-wise or if it's just something in us, if it's a laziness that we develop, but there's a certain point where we're just like, we're not going to grow anymore. And that is something that is detrimental to humanity. It's detrimental. When you stop growing, there's not much left. When a person stops growing, death is not far. Many people have heard me say this, and I'll probably say it in every podcast, but the thing of it is that we mistake what perfection is. Perfection has been told to us that it is without error. If you make no error, then how do you grow? If you're not consistently learning if you're not consistently taking something apart and dissecting it or researching, what are you doing? You should always constantly be thinking about your life here on this planet of this plane of existence. And if you're not, then that's death. That is the ultimate or one of the ultimate parts of death. Where there is stagnation, there is no growth, there is death. It is perfection in error. Error allows us to grow, allows us to continue to research, allows us to continue to learn that there's so much more. So when we stop to grow, when we stop trying to grow mentally, we are killing ourselves. And that starts to choke off the relationships that we have with one another as human beings. One thing I do want to take the time, because I'm not going to take too much time, because getting ready to end the podcast, but I do want to speak from a man's perspective. And the perspective is that good men love women and respect women. Good men support women, support their families. Good men are looking for good women. And we, just like you, the good women out there who are fighting the fight of equality, are fighting as well. But we are also hurting. We are also the victims. We are also dealing with trauma, not only from the miseducation from our own gender of how we are to treat our sisters, mothers, wives, but also how we are to, just from the treatment that we are getting from our sisters, mothers, and wives. See, everything is taught. There are certain unfortunate circumstances in different communities, different groups, whereas the family structure has been shattered. I'm not tossing any blame about, because that's not what this is about. We know the histories, and it has nothing to do with that, because we're dealing with now and in the present. The present is where we have the power. And with this, we need to make change. We need to look for the things that we can do that are constructive. The things that we can do that can help each one grow. Men love women. Women love men. A good man is going to do the best he can, and he's looking for a partner. He's not looking for a slave. He's not looking for somebody to take care of him. A good woman is also looking for the same. So what I would put out there for the listeners who are listening is this: empathy. Please try to be empathetic for the sisters, for the women out there, the mothers, the wives, the fight that you are fighting. We respect, we stand by you, but also know that we are also fighting a fight. We are fighting the fight of trying to get rid of the wrong. Stand strong and stand with you. With that being said, thank you for tuning in this week. If nobody said it, you know that I'm going to say it, that we love you. And also, remember, each one teach one, and the village, it's always said that it takes a village to raise a child. We are all somebody's child. That being said, each one of us should help to teach the other to be better. Have a great weekend. Please enjoy. Please be safe. Please be safe. Oh, before I sign out, also, if you have any topics, or any questions that you would like to reach out to us, you can reach out to us at delafit13@gmail.com or at www.delafitpodcast.com. Also, we can be reached at or on Facebook at DeLaFit Podcast. We are on Instagram at day_la_fit podcast. So you can reach out to us, ask us questions, and if you have any topics, we're always open for them. Thank you so much. Be blessed and have a great, great day.
You've been listening to the Della Fit podcast. Ta-ta for now.